Gentlemen, so stoked to have you on here. Thanks for taking the time. This is a fun one. It's we're talking with actual royalty from the music video business. That no one does it better.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
He's underselling it. You guys are fucking wizards, and I've I've got questions and I need answers. All right.
All right.
He doesn't understand any of what he's seen. It's all very good, but he doesn't know what happened.
That's it. We'll try to make sure we don't give you any answers you could actually understand either.
That's what
That'd
I
be
was hoping
fantastic.
for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be great.
don't dumb anything down.
Yeah.
Let's dive straight into Love, the brand new single, because we've just come fresh off watching that together. Holy heck. How do you continue to come up with these concepts time after time?
It is, the concepts themselves are actually pretty simple. It's the doing. It's
I was going
like,
to get to that later.
yeah, but no, I just mean that like everybody's looked down a kaleidoscope before and been like, whoa. It's just that you have to go like, what is the craziest thing we could do with this? And then could we actually do that? Like it's sort of making that jump. Like and we've just sort of inched our way towards it because I mean, I don't know, 10 years ago, I don't think we would have thought it was actually reasonable to go like, we need a few dozen robots and, 65 mirrors and a train station in Budapest, but we'll know what to do with that.
It is a really weird thing to watch people take you seriously when you say things like that. Like we're in it like it's kind of amazing that we can say like robots and mirrors and people are like, yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
write that down. How many? How many robots? Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
because
know.
it's
It's
crazy
like
with
it's
all
like
the
inverted reality for us because if we were like, we would like to have some fancy cars and hot women, people would be like, no, 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 nope, no. But if we're like, if we want it, but we'd like a few dozen robots and to go to Eastern Europe for it, they're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Like the weirder we say, the more people believe us. So we'll keep.
See, this is the thing. Now, the next video you do has to be the most extravagant, ridiculous rap video of all time. You got to have the jets flying over. You got to have the women, the big chains.
It's true. It's true. We're gonna need to learn to make a slightly different kind of music, I think, to pull it off. But you're right.
You don't think
That
impulse purchase would work with that sort of film clip? It's not what you're going for.
yeah, I suppose there's an element of that in there. Yeah. I, I actually don't. I'm gonna just. I had a crazy idea coming out of my mouth. I'm just gonna leave it in there.
Yeah,
Oh,
you've set it off now.
See, when I watch your videos, I'm just like, how do you come up with these things? Is it just a case of like, let's sit around, have a few wines, and watch a few, I don't know, like Monty Python movies, and then some, some sci-fi movies. Let's all chuck ideas in a hat, the craziest ideas we can think of, and just pull one out, and let's
I
just go with it.
We should start watching Monty Python and sci-fi together. That's a really good idea.
I know what you just suggested is so much better than what actually does happen that now I want to start trying that.
Yeah.
But
You're welcome.
like this one I was picking up my kids' toys at my mother-in-law's house. She has there was like a mirror, right, floor to ceiling mirror, and my kids they were toddlers I had twins, and they were toddlers at the time. There was like a mirrored surface on one of their toys, and I saw the two mirrors reflect each other, and you get that infinite hallway of mirror effect. And I was like, oh, right, we got to do something with that. And it's basically just that. It's like finding a a moment that of wow somewhere, and then just trying to figure out how to take it, how to choreograph it. Like we've made ones in slow mo. Like we made one for a song called "The One Moment" where we choreographed several hundred things to happen in
4.2
3.5
seconds.
seconds, whatever. Yeah, yeah, a few seconds, and then you run it in slow motion and watch it. But like slow motion is always beautiful. It's just a matter of going like when you see something like that, going like, is there some? Could I choreograph that then? And it feels like when we get it right, it almost feels like cheating because it's not like we didn't like make up the crazy geometry that makes kaleidoscope's so cool. We just saw it and
Took
thought,
advantage
oh,
of it.
yeah, we got
Yeah.
them. Yeah, we're that's the thing is we're taking advantage of it. Four little kaleidoscopes.
We
Did
spend a
you?
lot of time playing, I would say, but probably more than the average uh, people who make videos and things like that. It's a little bit like preparing for like a live play or something like that. The way that we kind of develop things before it gets filmed. So there's a lot of rehearsal and a lot of play that happens. And I would say the shortest amount of time is actually the filming. For this video Love, we spent about 4 months playing and preparing for it, and then we had 2 days to film it basically.
How
But
many takes did this one take?
It was
this
12. We got to the end of it 12 times, but that was actually, we messed up enough times that it was 39 total takes. We only got to the end 12 times. And even like number 11 was pretty. It was like we really got it on the last one and we knew it because we were 3 hours over time and we were like, we finally got it. I didn't even watch it for 2 days after that because I was like, I know we got that one.
Yeah, we
Great.
had 2 days of filming, but we didn't really start getting any takes until about 1 p.m. on the last day.
That's
And then
wild.
we had a
Jesus.
few hours to get
This
it.
it's like it's crazy because our thing, what we do is we check out music videos, and the the music video and its importance has had such a resurgence, especially since COVID and things like that, and especially in this world of reactors and online, reviews and things like that. But you guys take it to such a level where do you ever get concerned with what it's going to do to the song, about the effect the song might have on people, because a lot of the time people are checking it out for the first time on YouTube these days, you know what I mean? Or is it more like we don't really care, essentially? If you enjoy it, you'll go and then delve into the music.
I think it's somewhere in between. When we're making the music, like all we care about is that invisible space between the speakers. That like it's hard enough to write a great song, and a lot of times m music is more, really truly does have more impact on you without visuals. And I'm totally aware of that. But we also get the opportunity to make these art projects that are so amazing on their own. Like I cannot believe we've like sort of wound up in this weird little corner of the internet that apparently only we inhabit, where we're like making these absurd 6-month videos. And if we get it right, and I think this time we really did, it actually does add a dimension to an emotional dimension to the song. Like the way I think about it is that you take two chords and put them next to each other, and most of the time, boring, right? But every once in a while, there's something about those two things together that explodes into emotion, and how did sound just become a human feeling? It's like
Mm.
already magical, and then if you can tease that thing out into a full 3.5, 4 minutes of an emotional ride and build it out as this sort of musical ball, it is the most amazing like piece of alchemy that sound can become human emotion. And then you've got to take you've got to figure out how you can set lyrics to it that don't just deflate the whole thing, right? Like if you just
Yeah.
describe the feeling, it goes flat. If you just slot in an example, it goes flat. Like what you really need to do is figure out how to pull another dimension out of it, right? Or how to stick a tent pole into it to like give it new tension or counterbalance it. And that's writing the lyrics to it. And that's only gets you so far as having a song. And we are lucky enough to also get this next step where it's like, if that whole thing exists and we are really happy with it, we might also get the chance to make a film for it, which adds yet another weird tentpole through that thing. And it is true that like when people watch the video, they will experience the song in a different way, and that will change that song for them forever. But like it doesn't hurt the song. It just takes the song, like it takes the song farther off into the world for us, and and I guess like I'm gonna switch metaphors here, but I feel like it's like our restaurant is really famous for our desserts. We still serve a great fucking steak, you know, and like not everybody comes in for the steak, but a lot of people stay for it, you know, and like, and I couldn't be happier that like we get to keep doing this, you know.
It is such a cool, well done on the metaphor. You really brought that home. That was a
Thank you.
fantastic. It is something that I discovered your music early on through the OC, actually. And it wasn't a visual thing. It was so damn hot. Uh, so there was a different thing there, but the connection between then falling in love with OK Go is like the creative juggernaut that you guys are. And you're right, the music kept me there. So like you brought me in from one thing, took me into another, and then maintained it through the music throughout the years, which is really cool.
Thank you.
How do you feel any pressure, or do you still look at it as being like it's fun, it's playtime? But is there pressure to be like, well, fuck, we've done some wild things that people talk about. What do we have to do next to keep them talking? Or are you just still going, this is fun, let's get creative?
I think we're just looking for the fun. You know,
Hell yeah.
we're yeah. I think the last thing we want to do is compete with ourselves. You know,
Yeah.
the idea that we would have to top ourselves or something like that, that's just like it's not a super productive thought. I feel
Yeah.
like it's just only going to like create anxiety. But we're mostly interested in just keeping ourselves challenged.
Yeah, cool.
Also, if you think of them as visual songs, it's like you no one's going like I gotta write a better song than my last album. You just want to write a
Yeah.
great song, and like
Yeah.
what it is that makes you what it is that makes it great is only really a reflection of who you are right now. Like the first time you discover 1-4-5 progression and you like you'll write the best pop song you'll ever write because you're discovering it for the first time. And like once you realize what a pattern that is and that it's like every Beatles song you've ever heard is basically that, like it yes, you understand it, but you also can never really find that thing again. Like it'll never be fresh to you in the same way. And that that kind of threshold, that kind of barrier, the thing you're pushing against in your own kind of understanding of the world is always moving. And so it's not really about topping anything so much as it is like keeping ourselves thrilled and exciting. And not everything we've
Mm.
made has been bigger than the last thing, but for us, they've all been just as exciting.
Yeah, but the excitement comes in obviously the ideas. There's obviously something that you guys have that most other people don't have or don't have the confidence to explore those, those crazy ideas. And yeah, like I don't think it's competition between the videos. I think it's just the excitement of them all being so different and them all being something that people haven't seen before. That's what has really captured me about the videos, besides the grandiose effort that goes into them and what they turn out to be. The other thing is you guys have got quite a varied musical landscape sonically. So what I want to know is when you come up with an idea and you have a song that you want to release as a single, or has it ever happened in the past where you've had an idea that you're just like, oh, this is what we want to do. This video would be great, but it's really not going to work with any of the songs that we want to release as singles.
Sort of. I would say like we made two videos for the song This Too Shall Pass, basically for that reason. We were already working on a collaboration with a marching band for that song when we decided we wanted to make a Rube Goldberg machine,
Domino effect style. Yeah.
domino, exactly like yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And when we went to start building it, we were like, let's pick a song from the record this will really work with. And we listened through the whole album, watching little clips we found online. There's a TV show, a Japanese TV show called Pythagoras Switch, and they have these incredible little contraptions. We watched a loop of those, a 20-minute loop of those, and we listened to the entire album 2 or 3 times, and that was the song that made it look right. Like
Wow.
some like a dancey song might make it look frenetic or it might make it look boring in contrast, and you just never really know. But that was a song that was like, oh, that imbues this type of activity with some sort of it just there was like a anthemic kind of extra dimension to it. And so we just it wasn't that it didn't it wasn't that something else didn't fit. It was like, well, I guess we got to do
That
two
really
days.
fits.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When we
exactly.
embarked on the like rehearsal process for Here It Goes Again for the treadmill video, we actually thought we had the idea and we thought we had the song for it. It was a song called A Good Idea at the time, which is, I guess, a bit more of like a marching type of beat, actually. And we got on the treadmills and it's just like, oh, this feels too slow. This is actually too slow. And like we had to, so we kind of listened through to the record, just looking for like a more upbeat tempo. And Here It Goes Again, all of a sudden seemed perfect for the idea.
Yeah,
We
awesome.
definitely were not thinking it going in, but
Which is
once we
crazy to
got
me because
going,
it's literally the lyrics of the song are, I mean,
yeah.
like to get more specific, like a treadmill and here it goes again.
Yeah.
And yet somehow that did not occur to us until we
Well,
saw it.
hindsight's 2020. Have you ever
Yeah.
had any ideas that have just you've tried and just have not been able to execute?
The closest I'd say is like on our second to last video, the one for A Stone Only Rolls Downhill, which it's 64 single take
Yeah,
shots
the
on 64
iPhones.
phones.
Yeah.
We watched that one too.
It, thank you. The ending for that was going to be us using our bodies or dancers' bodies. We were going to like get a bunch of dancers to work with us to basically make my singing face in shadow and light by using bodies and lighting. And we took months of working on it to get just like a basic sketch of what it might be like, right? We had to film it really slowly and only get little pieces of it and stuff because we didn't know quite what would work. And we finally, after months and months and months, got something that was like, yeah, okay, that's the right basic idea. And it was hideous. It was like so disgusting. It was elephantitis of the singer, it was like this awful thing. And we put so much effort into it. And I remember Chris Bongiorno, my co-director, and I just like sitting here looking at this same screen that I'm looking at right now, like just being like, we can't give up because we spent so much on this, but we have to because it's horrid. But it like it pushed us farther into a better idea, I think. So
There wasn't any moment you were like, is that how I look? Have
no,
I?
no, I was like for everyone, I was like, that's exactly how I look. Oh
Yeah.
shit, you know?
We can't put that out there. What
Yeah.
about
Um,
clashing with
no,
labels? Because that's something I know you've had. You guys are on your own label now, correct?
we are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that due to a creative clash? Was it a like what made you want to go up and do this on your own? Because as Johnny said, there's no one doing it the same way you guys are, and that would be hard on a label standpoint. What made you want
Oh
to make the
yeah, a
decision to
label
jump
would
out your
never
own?
be able to afford the videos we're doing, and like, I mean, we can't. We can't. We usually have to find sponsors and partners to work with and stuff. It was a little bit tied up in the video stuff. Basically, on our third album, we had like the treadmill video had happened in 2007, and that was we'd had enough success with a few viral things like that like it was clear we were becoming that video band. And we went to our label, we were like, we're going to make a video for every song on this album, and they gave us like what looked like a pretty good budget for that. And then when we started making them, they wouldn't pay the bills. They were like, nah. And that wasn't great. But to their credit, what they did do is they like, you know what? It's just your business model is like so different than what we know how to do that why don't you just take your record back? And we're like, that we can do. Great,
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That is a cool thing.
Yeah.
You don't hear that very often.
No, I mean, I think in part it was because yeah. Anyways, they were nice about it, and it was a good time for us to part because we're just not like we're so far outside of the mainstream in terms of how business is done. We have like a lot of fans, but we're neither the size of Beyonce nor are we going right at the same metrics that run the normal music industry. And it like for us, it has borne out like that this is the right way to do it because we can like very few bands that had a big single in 2007 still exist. Like we're still here, we're still making the things we want to make. We're really happy about it, and we're more connected than ever to our fans because it's very direct. Like it's so much easier to be in direct contact with them now. But it's not like a model that generalizes very well. Like you can't sign the next band and be like, now you guys go make a dance on exercise equipment. Like it
Yeah, yeah,
and that's not the music industry basically thrives on being like, well, if Nirvana sounded awesome, then get another band that sounds like Nirvana, get the same mixer, get the same producer, and put out something as close as you can to that. And it might make some money for a couple of years and go away. Every 5 years or so, there's something that really changes the game. But otherwise, they're basically chasing stuff, and that would not what we make can't be chased by others very well, and we're not a
mm,
good. They wanted us to sound like the Strokes, and that wasn't going to happen. Like we love the Strokes, but you're
It's
not
not
going to
you.
believe we're the Strokes.
yeah. Is like now, obviously, you guys make incredible music videos. Now, I want to know, were music videos something that were always a really important part of music to you, or has this just come about a complete sort of love of two things separately that have amalgamated into what you guys do? And if music videos were a big influence on you guys as creators with doing what you do now, what would you say are some of the most influential music videos for you guys each that have sort of set a benchmark or a precedent of what you'd be like, oh, we want to try and do something like that?
And when we started the band in 1998, I don't remember talking about making music videos very often. We were pretty obsessed with music production and songwriting and playing
Yes.
the best live show that we could. And like I feel like at that time the goal was like the big goals and the things to try to achieve was like get a show at the local club, you know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and then get big enough to headline that show at some point, and then try to like go. We were in Chicago, try to go to like the next big town, Cleveland or something like that. Like
Yeah.
those were the goals back then, and and the things that like we really really celebrated. The videos were such a kind of I remember originally feeling like it's such a happy, I don't want to call it
Act-
mistake. Yeah, but accident, yeah, like happy accident really based on, Damien and I have known each other since 11, sort of like based in a history of making things like that since we were kids, essentially. So, you know, but once we saw that people liked that, we were like, great, that's what we do. That's
Yeah.
like that's a big part of like
Yeah,
our friendship and like how we hang out together. And this is all stuff that we like to share with each other. It's awesome now that we have this way of being able to share it directly with our fans, and we didn't have to go through any middleman.
I will also say like there I didn't have cable TV growing up, so I didn't get to see that many videos. But
Okay.
sort of separate from that, like I don't when we first the first thing we had go viral was uh, a clip of us dancing in my backyard. It was the one before Here It Goes Again, the treadmill video that inspired that, and it was us doing a ridiculous stage routine, like this sort of jokey, very elaborate dance routine that we were doing, like boy band dance routine that we were doing basically to like fuck with the indie rockers because we were like we were like snotty indie rockers ourselves, and we were like everybody would come to clubs and like smoke and look cool, and we were sort of like, no, you're gonna enjoy, like you will smile or have to leave, like, and so we will do something like it felt more punk than playing a punk song to be like, we're gonna do a ridiculous boy band dance. And
Yeah.
so we just did we put up a camera in my backyard to record a practice of that simply so we could send it to Michel Gondry, the legendary video director, because we knew he had a great idea for a dance video, and we were like, come on, we know, like, you're gonna have to do it with us. We're the dance band. But that was, we only wanted one person to see that video, and that was him. We didn't think of it. It was a video. It was just like an event. And the reason I went into such depth on that is that I think I'm starting to realize that that was all we ever wanted to do was make an event and bring people into the room. Like
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
one, it was literally one guy we were trying to bring into the room, and then some other people. Like then it went viral pre-YouTube, and we were like, oh well, if we could do an event on the internet, let's do that. And then we called my sister, who's a professional ballroom dancer, and did the treadmill thing at her house, and like it just grew from there, where it was kind of like, well, what other events could we film that? And it's really more like being in a band, but the internet is your stage instead of the stage is your stage that but we were never trying to make films in the proper sense where you're like using film tricks to tell a story that didn't exist.
Yeah.
Quite
Yeah.
opposite of that, we're like always doing things in a single take, mostly because that's the easiest way to show this really happened. Like this, you're really in the room with us, you know?
Yeah.
Like we try to show the reflection of the camera and we try to do all the stuff, you know, like we break all the rules because we want people to feel the camera and know they're in the room, you know?
You touched on being in the room. Now, I've been lucky enough to be in the room with you guys in Australia before, and I would like to know, when is that going to happen again?
2026.
Yeah, 2026, I think. Yeah.
That's not too far away. That'll come
Yeah,
around real
that's a
quick.
nice easy answer.
Yeah, we almost had some plan this summer, and then there was some changes in schedules and blah blah blah, and we couldn't do it. But we very much want to come, and it will be soon.
I like that. That's a very rarely do we get a straight answer from a band. So well done on that. That's very exciting because it is. You are such a. You didn't come to me to that one. Johnny's not normally the person I go to every show with, but you didn't get to go to that one. It was such a fun thing, and you guys have such a dynamic stage presence, which I think, having seen that, I can see it reflected in the individual personalities that show in the music videos, but I can see how maybe people might not expect that as much because they're only used to seeing the internet videos, the production that's kind of choreographed rather than seeing like the fun chaos that is you guys live. So
yeah, the show is it's fun because like somebody I was just answering this question, like they're like, how do you bring all the videos to the stage? It's like you don't have to. Like the videos are all about bringing a stage to the internet. Like the rock show is already that. Like it's like the feeling, the energy that you get from a good show with hundreds or thousands of people in the room. It's like that is that's all we're really trying to get from the videos in the first place, you know?
I think that's where the separation of what you guys are trying to achieve on the internet with the videos and what you're trying to achieve as a band is there's definitely a line drawn in the sand there because, as you said, you're going to have a lot of people, you've had 60 odd million people watch some of your videos. There's not 60 million people going to your shows, I assume.
God, how good would that be, though?
No, it's more like 40 million usually, not 60.
Close, but ballpark. But the people who are, as you said, coming for the dessert and staying for the steak, they're not expecting the videos at the show. They're there because the steak kept them and they're happy to just enjoy that and they want to enjoy that. And it's another side to the band as well.
Yeah, totally.
It's just weird they're eating their dessert before the steak.
Yeah, I know, right?
Freaks.
Maybe they came for the dessert and saw the steak and ate the steak and then got so
We're
full
not
of
questioning it.
dessert.
Yeah, that's the fun chaos. That's the fun chaos.
That's exactly. I was eating steak the whole time. It was crazy.
It's dessert
new
made
album.
of steak.
I want to talk about the new album because it's so fun. It's quintessentially you guys. You've had a sound, and I've never been able to kind of put my finger on it of what OK Go is. It's
yeah,
like
I was listening to it and I was like, oh, this is why he could never explain them to me.
yeah, because it's fun, but there's melancholy, there's pop sensibilities, but there's also like that indie side of things. How do you describe yourselves as a band?
We try not to, but we got to get better at that. We're like 25 years into this. You'd think we'd have a word for it by now. I don't know. What do you think, Tim? You got one?
I mean, it's usually, and especially this one, has a real mixtape quality to it. There's a lot of genre hopping, I feel like, going on.
There really is.
Or genre melting, maybe. Like it's better. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we we grew up listening to like pop radio in the 80s and like 90s and stuff like that when you had like Prince and Michael Jackson next to like I don't know the Talking Heads and it's like we're used to hearing different genres kind of like melt into one another and Damien and I grew up sort of as like long distance friends as kids, and so we were constantly making mixtapes, and it was like a lot of punk, a lot of like Britpop, new wave, and indie, but then also a ton of Prince and Aerosmith. It's like that. That's kind of like where we came from, and this record especially feels like that to me.
I remember somebody once referring to us as Artie Party, and I thought that was pretty good.
Oh,
Party Party
Party
is good.
party. Yeah.
Party Party. But the only downside to that one is that I do think that actually some of our best songs are not the partiest ones. They're usually the video ones are usually the party ones. But
Yeah.
like my favorite song on the new record is actually a ballad called "This Is How It Ends," which is like really more of like it's almost like a 60s or 70s soul ballad.
Yeah,
Like
I was gonna say there's that 60s influence in there, like the way the guitars are strummed, and yeah, it's got that feel to it.
yeah, and there's a song on there that's almost Phil Spector-y, and there's a lot of like Nile Rodgers era Bowie on this album, and
Mhm.
I it used to be like I remember on our first when we first sent demos out to labels in 1998. I remember getting responses from I think it was DreamWorks that was like, "This is great, pick a style."
Right.
And it was basically,
Yeah.
it was, and that kind of makes sense. It's like, how do you market something that's all over the place? But like that's been our quote unquote problem the whole time. And now though, I think the way that kids consume music, or the world, I shouldn't say kids, the way that people consume music might be catching up to that idea a little bit. That like it used to be that like if you wanted to learn about Billie Holiday, that's because like you were like you knew jazz was something really cool that you should learn about, and you had to like go to your record store, figure out about it, and like go down that hole. And now you can be listening to like Billie Eilish and skip to Billie Holiday just because it's sitting right there. Like
Yeah,
everybody's tastes are so much wider, and culture has stopped. It has become so self-referential, and like I'm sure you've seen all the sort of like modern philosophers sort of being like, time has stopped because we all everything is a self-referential, like that styles and genres don't even happen the same way anymore because it's all one big melting pot now. And I sort of feel like hopefully that makes it more it makes an album like ours a little bit more palatable or like or understandable to people.
it's definitely something that we are seeing a shift in, especially from the angle where, like, because we predominantly check out the heavier side of music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's very few scenes in the world that are as elitist as metalheads, but the fastest growing band in the metal scene is a band called Sleep Token. They don't sound metal for starters, and they genre hop so crazily between songs, time signatures and vibe and everything, going from R&B to death metal, and people are eating it up. I think that the desire to have something that makes you question is bigger than it's been in a long time, and I think it's a good thing. So maybe it's a great point for you guys to start saying, hey, we're weird too.
Do you
Yeah.
consider us on the outskirts of metal? Is that why we're here?
No, you're here for me. I'm a huge fan.
Okay.
No, we cover everything on the channel. We started
cover
as
a lot of
like
stuff,
we
yeah.
go to a lot of metal stuff, but the whole thing with this channel started because during COVID we couldn't go to live shows anymore, and we liked talking about music. So we started a channel, and
Cool.
weirdly, thousands and thousands of people came along to watch us just banter. So we look at this as an opportunity to share just like good music, no matter what the genre or taste, and that's exactly where I think like I've loved you guys for many many years because it's has you have such unique space in music and the creative side of things, which that's why I wanted to show Johnny originally, was being like, you've got to see these videos, because like I think I didn't even get through one video because like, but wait, watch this one. I've got to show you this one next, because it was
I
just
did
like,
the same thing to the guys at work today because they were like, "Oh, what are you doing after this?" I said, "Oh, I've got an interview to do." And they're like, "Oh, what, Ben?" I said, "You've got to see them." And then like watch it. They're just like, "How are they doing that?" Like, what's the one with the car around the with all the
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. They're just like they had to have an engineer helping them on that one.
Yeah, tons
Yeah,
of them.
it's wild. And
We sure did.
you
Yeah.
guys have definitely not blowing smoke, but you've got something that transcends what most people sitting in front of a screen watching music videos
Thank you.
is.
With that being said, I don't know how we're doing for time here. I don't. I
we're
went a
fine.
little bit over. Great. So short form media and the short attention spans that have kind of come with it, because that's an interesting thing. I work in social media as my full-time job as like a creator kind of thing, and I see the attention spans changing. I see the way people are creating differently. You guys have been one step ahead of this in creating beautifully curated art for a long time. Do you follow along on the social side of things to see what the responses are, or is that something that you step away from? You're very like it would be hard to hate you.
Oh, that's so kind of you.
They're too busy working on the next 8 month video.
That you're basically right. Like the reason why, like, we were a great way for virality to start, right? Like that, like when people were leaving MTV for YouTube and the music industry was going like this is we have to do user generated content. Like that was, we were one of the first things to really go truly viral. But in the 20 years since then, it has like first of all, there's now like Madison Avenue firms just dedicated to like how to game the algorithm. But it's also like become extraordinarily clear that the way to like build an audience through social media is through tons and tons and tons of relatively low quality stuff, you know? Like obviously like you'd like it, I mean, people still do their best. I'm not saying people try to make crap, but it's like it's all about quantity. It's about having something new every 2 days or every week or whatever it is. And our videos just like we could never do that, you know?
Mm.
And it is so it was funny when you said you've been ahead of the curve. Like I almost feel like we're like a weird offshoot that like
Yeah.
the curve went a different way and we like kind of refuse to go there. Like
Yeah, sure.
we do follow along on socials. Like we do have we like try to make sure that our videos are all up on socials in some way, shape, or form. Like the the attention span required, or rather the metrics you have to hit to get the algorithm to care at all is like that you have to peak in your video within the first 3 seconds. Like our whole thing is to do these 3 minute things where like by the end you're like, but that means the beginning can't be like wow, like
Yeah.
you have to.
Mhm.
So we experiment with the socials and stuff, trying to figure out what stuff we can put there that will feed more people in to be able to see these things, like to really take the whole 3 minutes that it takes to watch one,
Yeah.
Um, and I mostly feel lucky that we made a name for ourselves doing this particular thing early enough that we get to still do it, because I don't know, it right now it's like everyone's like you have to shoot your videos vertical because that's how socials work, and they're not wrong, but I'm like, yeah, but we're old stodgy fucks at this point. Like this is what we do, like
Yeah.
when we were 22, you could convince us of that. Now that we're in our 40s, like, no,
Yeah.
this is what we're good at. This is what we're going to do. And if you like it,
Yeah.
cool. But otherwise,
It is cool
and
seeing like you still bringing in newness, like in the love video, Tim's wearing the meta glasses. And I was like, literally, as soon as the video ended, I was like, I said to Johnny, be like, I've got to see that behind the scenes footage. And then the next video that popped up was like behind the scenes. I was like, great.
yeah,
They're doing it.
no, we love like if I really truly felt like I knew how, like, like social media made me want to be creative, we'd be all over it.
Yeah.
Like, and I do remember that, like, when I remember in my personal life, at least, that Instagram, there was a period of Instagram when it was really just like photos that reminded me to be creative in my day. Like, I would walk around, I was living in New York at the time, and I remember just being like, oh, it made me notice the details and things again because it kind of gamified life a little bit. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, I want to catch these beautiful moments. And it made me think aesthetically and in terms of beauty again. And that was really nice. If it, if I really felt like we could make music and or art of any kind that where this was the way to get to people, like this was the best transmission vector, I think we'd be really inspired to do it. The problem is that for us at least is that like it came as an add-on to these things we really love. Like we spend years making albums and we're so perfectionist about stuff and we make version after version until we get something exactly the way we like. And it's sort of the opposite of how social media works. And it's just it feels like we have to force ourselves into this zone to be like make stuff, make stuff, make stuff, and it's just not quite us, you know.
Yeah, that's okay.
It's clearly working though. I mean, the views, you know, if everyone says, "Oh, you got to do it this way," just give a little tap on the screen and say, "See all those views there?" I don't know.
Yeah, no, and yeah, exactly. Like and it is. I do every once in a while. I see something on social media where I'm just like, God, I love the new like. It has trained people's brains so differently. And some parts of that is, you know, like I'm terrified for when my daughter becomes a teenager, but I'm very, very like there's a way that creative ideas now flow from person to person where like some of the people who've worked on our videos are just like are people we found on Instagram. We're just like, I love the way you think about patterns. Will you come do this thing with us? And it's like that
Yeah, it's
never
so
would have
cool.
happened 10,
Yeah, it
20
is a
years ago.
great connector that we've talked about this so many times. Like it's this job that we do didn't exist before, and like social media has allowed this to become a thing where in the past I would have been able to watch your videos and being like, oh man, I would love to know how they did that. And then you can have a conversation and then other people get to hear that. That's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
My next question, Damian, is not aimed directly at you because whilst you're very handsome, your outfit is not quite as extravagant.
No, yeah, no, Tim, I know that.
Yeah, Tim came in looking like that. I'm like, oh fuck, what have we got ourselves into here?
Where's my feather boa, damn it? You have consistently had your own style for as long as the band's been around. What inspires you stylistically to have like such a creative approach to your outfits? Because I think it's fucking sick.
I mean, I think it goes back to like my mom and my grandfather, probably, who both had incredible style. I remember going to my grandfather's house, and I would always take about three things without him knowing, and bring them home. You know, because like, yeah, like
So it's kleptomania that inspires you, right?
I was
Gotcha.
gonna
kleptomania.
say,
Yeah,
what inspired this? Well, young klepto.
yeah, kind of young kleptomania, you know. But I mean, I know when Damien and I grew up, like thrift store culture was very popular, you know, or just starting to be very popular. And my grandfather's closet looked like every thrift store
Cool.
I ever went to, and I was like, wow, I don't think he's gonna notice if I take like three shirts a visit.
Stealing from an old man.
Yeah.
But his legacy lives on through you, and that's beautiful. So it's
Well, yeah, and I remember like then visiting him like the year later wearing his clothes, and he'd be like, "I like that."
I
But
know
not
you
realize it was
do.
his.
I'm sure you did, Gramps.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
I think like when we're really really busy and stuff like that, I feel like I tend to just find something that I know I'm gonna like wearing for a week or whatever. But when there's time to get dressed, I actually enjoy. It's just fun,
Yeah.
like it actually is like it feels like a little bit of personal creative time every morning. Like
100%. I
the day
started as like
begins that
a
way.
fashion blogger. That was my thing before all this happened. And so I get the creative expression through that. I think it's a really cool thing. You can tell you guys that just have like artistic flair at the kind of the core of who you guys are and everything you do. It's inspiring.
Yeah,
I
I
find like
also
every day when I wake up and pick a different black t-shirt to put on, I feel like I my whole soul.
Yeah, that's
well,
me.
I
Yeah.
got yeah. Damien was also and well, and still is, but when we were kids, Damien was his fashion sense was
I was
out of this world,
sartorially adventurous. This is true.
I like that.
See,
incredibly
Damien,
adventurous.
we've got the blue eyes, mate. We just need a black t-shirt. That's all we need. So,
Thank you.
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
hey, should we ask a couple of hard questions?
Yeah, off you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Ah,
Gun to your head, if you had to cut one song from the album, what would it be and why?
Oh God, we've already had to do this.
Oh, have you? Well,
now you're doing it again because he's an asshole.
well, no. In that case, feel free to answer if there is an answer. Which song are you most looking forward to playing live?
Ooh.
I guess what I'm doing while I am going to answer you, but Tim, Eric Downer now lives in Australia, actually, sent me this.
Ah, there he is. That's
Is that
Damian.
you?
That's me when I was 15.
My God, dude.
Wow.
Wow, that is
It's a fantastic
incredible.
tie.
That was that
That's what I'm
I
talking
had
about.
bleach blonde dreads.
Yeah. God.
It was a look. It was a real look.
Look,
That is awesome.
I reckon it looks sick.
you've also aged. You said this before when you talked about being like when the band started, when the first single came around. You guys haven't aged. If you go and watch like original videos, you've aged so well. I'm very jealous. I get worse by
Thank
the
you.
day.
Very kind of you. Thank you.
Yeah, I wish I felt the same way, but that's very kind of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the back says otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
So
Um,
which
all
song are
right,
we
back to
looking forward to
cutting songs
playing?
off our album. All
We're
right.
gonna do that one for a second.
Are we cutting something? Let's see. If I had to cut something,
Mm.
I like I think energetically speaking, I would cut something. We go through this all the time.
Yeah.
We write more like mid-tempo kind of slow songs than we need for an album. And so we could conceivably cut one of like either going home,
Hmm.
this is how it ends,
Mm.
don't give up now, or uh fantasy versus fantasy.
Hmm.
Uh,
Oh man.
gun to head, I'd probably do going home because I think it's the one that has the most overlap with others. But I'm really glad we did.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good answer. That's a good answer, I think.
It's a jerk question, and
Well, he's a
you
jerk. I
did
can
well to
see.
answer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
resident jerk. That's
yeah,
okay.
you're absolutely right.
I just want you guys to be grateful for what you have. You know?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
appreciate everything you've got going to you.
This is why we can have nice songs, Tim.
That's right.
Because Johnny will cut them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One
And
last
then
one, the final
song
one.
we're most looking forward to playing. Is that the other question?
That was the
Mhm.
other half of that question. Yeah.
Of the
I
new
mean,
ones.
well,
Yeah,
we've
new
gotten
ones
really good at
specifically.
Love now. We've gotten good at the song Love because we
Yeah,
we
we
had
played
to.
we had to play it for a bunch of TV shows on the lead up for this. We had to learn how to play.
Sure.
Like we write our songs in the studio, so we often can't play
Yeah.
the whole thing ever. Or at least like can't do all the it's like we can't get it down to 8 hands, like we can do the
Yeah.
basics, but uh so Love is pretty exciting also because we did it last summer for a few shows and I don't think we were particularly good. It was not the
Yeah.
best of our new songs then, so I'm happy that that one now rocks.
Yeah.
And if we can get it, I'm really excited about playing Take Me With You because it's a really, really
Mhm.
fun. It's just like a great feeling. Like that'll be a great one to feel in a room with people because it's
Yeah.
so sort of like visceral. But the way it makes sense for us to play it live is for me to do all the guitar stuff while I'm singing.
Mm.
And it's just it's a very syncopated song. So I have to I have to like pay attention to what I'm doing, which is fine, but it's not like, but the great stuff happens when your body knows it all already. So
Yeah,
you
you're
don't,
in the moment.
Yeah.
yeah, you're like, I'm listening as much as I'm playing. I'm not like, I'm, I get to hear the guy singing it. It's not me singing,
Yeah.
and
I
right
think
now
we're
it's,
all. Yeah, I think we're all feeling that in that song. I think we all need to live it more than
Well, that's
more than.
exciting that we have to wait a year to see you. So
Yeah.
you have plenty of time to practice before then.
exactly, that's all we're going to do too. That and another 8 month video.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
of
awesome.
course.
Awesome. Okay, I want to finish with you guys have had tremendous success with many, many successful music videos. What's been your favorite one and why?
Maybe the most current.
Are we allowed to say the most recent one?
You
'Cause that's-
can.
of course.
It's a cop-out answer, but you can say it.
Well, look, if you guys are gonna be judged with the questions, we'll be judged with our answers.
That's fair. Very fair. Yeah,
We
yeah,
could
yeah.
be worse.
Yeah, no, so cool. I genuinely believe the most recent one, not only because it's the most recent, we always love the most recent one because it's like our baby right now,
Yeah.
but also I think it's the most emotional. Like we want people to watch with like we know that there's an intellectual component to watching these things where you're like, oh my God, how'd they do that? Or like we're keeping you in the room and that's an intellectual activity. But
Yeah.
we want you to give over and feel it. Like the whole point is to like experience wonder or joy or like holy shitness, you know? And to feel that rather than think it is the key. And I think that type of spectacle we've gotten down for like a really glorious, exciting song, but to be able to do it for a song that actually pulls at your heartstrings also, like that has a sense of wistful melancholy or something, or that brings a tear just a little bit, even if it's a happy tear. I think we got it with this one. Like it actually feels more emotional to me than the other ones, and that is a good reason to love it.
Yeah, hell yeah. You know what? I'll allow that answer. You brought it home. Well done.
Thank you. Now Tim has to pick a different one.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
you want me
Tim,
to?
runner up.
Oh, I'm just kidding. I was just
Well,
putting it on the
no, I do have a runner-up actually, which is our the video for This Too Shall Pass marching band version.
Yeah.
I remember this is maybe more of a personal feeling. This is maybe more internal than external, but I remember being about three-fourths of the way through that video, being like surrounded by, I don't know, like a 70, 80 person marching band, just being in the middle of that sound. I remember being really present actually. Like sometimes it's like a little bit tough to be present in some of the videos because there's just like a very intense thing that you have to do and you're just like
Yeah.
really focused on that. But I remember just being able like being caught in that moment for a second and being super overwhelmed with emotion that like I was just hearing our song being played back to us by this gigantic marching band.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know, it's just sort of like I was like, this is a pretty unique experience actually, you know, to hear a song that we've written be played back to us like this and just be surrounded by it. And I remember just thinking like this is such a beautiful and weird, unique moment that I think I'm gonna remember for the rest of my life.
Yeah, I
Oh,
love
yeah.
that. So that's a very cool reason to have it too.
Yeah.
Well,
Both good answers.
yeah, well done. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure having
B
you on.
plus, Tim. I give you B plus.
Okay. Okay.
Totally
You got work
passing
to
grade.
do.
Totally passing. It's good.
Okay. All right. All
It
right.
wasn't the worst thing you've
I'll work
done.
on the delivery.
Yep.
Yeah, that was it. Just a bit more
Yeah,
emotive if
yeah.
we can.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, we're stoked to have you guys on here. The album, it slaps. You've done it again. I'm so consistently impressed with the output from the band, both in a visual and sonic standpoint. So congratulations. I can't wait for the rest of the world to hear it. And thanks for taking the time to hang out. This has been a blast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We also have a song we have to give you because we only have like one genuinely heavy song and it's not really on an album. We should give him Fight Song. It came out in Japan, right?
I think it was out in Japan. Yeah.
So we
Oh.
we will I don't know how to transfer you a file over Zoom, but we will send an MP3 to
I'll send
to
you a DM on Instagram. That way you can just
Perfect.
send a link there. Because we literally said this actually earlier. Johnny tends to lead like more heavy stuff, and I have a bit more of the eclectic taste. But he's like, I really like the garage rock influence, the heavier stuff. There is something there. So
this
I'm
is
excited.
like I'm not
We
even
got
sure
one for you.
what type of heavy this is, but I know it's fucking heavy.
Cool.
Love that.
Fun.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
look, again, thanks for hanging out. I'm genuinely glad that Nate said, look, we've got to check these guys out on the channel because watching your videos has been like a fucking experience. It definitely makes you appreciate the work that goes into creating a visual for music as well. And the songs are fucking great. So that's,
Thank you.
a byproduct.
Appreciate it. And
Wonderful.
I cannot wait for you to get to hear our singular heavy song.
Great. We look forward to that.
Thanks so
And
much,
we look forward to
guys.
seeing you in the not too distant future.
Yeah, see you
Awesome.
soon.
Cool. Thanks,
Peace.
boys.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.